All right, YouTube, this is 2 Cent back with my 2 cents on Octopath Traveler, and today we are giving just a 3 big tips that I have for you kind of guide of just things that I've picked up the last couple weeks that I think other players would really like to know. So let's get right into it. Number one here, it's about weaknesses. So this is the order in which the weaknesses will appear on an enemy. So you have sword, spear, dagger, axe, bow, staff, tome, and fan. That takes care of all the weapons. And then you have the elements of fire, ice, lightning, wind, light, and dark. So when you're looking at an enemy, if you hit them first with the dagger and you see that dagger pops up as the first slot on that enemy, that means spear and sword will not be weaknesses as well. So it'll have to be everything to the right of dagger. Likewise, if you're in the elements, which come later on, and you hit and lightning pops up, and it's the one at the end, that means wind, light, and dark can't possibly be it because lightning's already at the end. So if there's another element, it has to be fire or ice. So this will really help, especially if you don't have somebody who's analyzing weaknesses or whatnot, and you're in new areas or trying out new bosses. This will kind of help you kind of tune who to hit with next to try and get those breaks off a little bit quicker. So I hope you found that helpful. Let's go on to number 2. All right, number 2, many of us are just neglecting our bronze kind of guide stones out there because we're not really using our 3 stars. But I'm telling you here that you should level your 3 stars up until that kind of level 45 mark using their specific guide stones for that. Once you get them to 45, you get access to their big influence buff. If you look here, Jose has 100 influence here. So that's doing better than my level 60s and my level 40s of my 4 and 5 star characters. And so by just doing these on your 3 stars, you can really kind of help get some extra room on your hunt teams to actually put in the 4.5 stars or the 3.5 stars or your 5-star units on there to be able to get their guide stones and their materials to help for them. And so don't sleep on getting your 3 stars up to that to free up some space on your teams. This will help a lot more now than it will later. Later on, you're going to get a 5-star that's completely maxed out, and they're going to have a whole bunch of influence. But this is going to really help between that time period between now and when you start getting access to that. So you don't have to do it with every single one of your 3 stars. Maybe just pick one from both wealth, fame, and power, and get that extra 100 on there to kind of help free up some space on your team. Now, if you found these 2 tips helpful so far, please consider hitting that sub button. I am on my way to that 1,000 mark, and I would just really appreciate each and every sub out there. So let's get into the last one. All right, so healing is actually based off your elemental attack stat. So maybe some of you out there are like, oh, how is this a tip? But in the original Octopath Traveler game, healing is actually based off of your elemental defenses stat. And so I've seen a lot of this question out there, and people who are stacking elemental defense rather than elemental attack, which is what's going to be what makes your heal stronger. So hopefully you guys found at least one, or if not all 3 of these tips helpful. And that's been my 2 cents.